Hey everyone! Okay, I am ready to do the second tutorial for the November Silhouette Life Inspiration Box. The first tutorial is already up. It's for those wood slices with the photos on it. We use the water slide decal paper and the temporary tattoo adhesive. Today we're going to be doing the freezer paper stencils on burlap placemats. So, placemats, not placements. So you're going to need your freezer paper. I think she gave us 2 sheets. You just need one for right now, and then you have an extra if we mess up. And then you need your white paint, your foam brush, or any color craft paint if you don't want to do white. And then you'll need your burlap placemat. So what you are going to do, once you have all these items ready, you are, oops, sorry, hit the camera. You're going to take your freezer paper and you are going to put it glossy side up. So you can see how one side is shiny and one side is more matte. You're going to put it glossy side up onto your cutting mat. So I'm putting it on there right now. And then I can show you. And I didn't bother to smooth it out a ton. I probably could have, but I want to say it's not actually going to be that tall. So now it's stuck. It's okay if this is just hanging off the edge of your mat. That'll be fine. It won't impact anything to have it hanging off. So now you have your freezer paper ready. That's going to be loaded into the machine and we're going to be cutting that. So I'm going to do a screen share again to show you the software on how to get your design ready to be cut. And then I will come back to show you what to do with your machine. So just give me 1 second. Well, not really. It'll be real time in the video, but you know what I mean. Here's the screen share to see the design. Okay, so I'm going to start my screen recording. Here we go. And I'm going to pull up the tutorial. It'll load for me. There we go. So where I am right now, I'm going to go back into here. So I'm in the November 2017 Hello Autumn folder, and I want the file for this placemat. So I'm going to come into JSL Custom Creations. I'm going to go into Grateful, Thankful, Blessed, and I need the studio format. So I'm going to open this up, click download. It should open right up into my studio as soon as I can tell it to load. There we go. Okay, and it's pulling an error, so it's changing the font for Thankful, and I don't love that font. So I'm going to show you a little hack. I'm asking Becky why it's doing that, so hopefully she can get us the correct file for studio format that doesn't change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to pull open the PDF version of it, or SVG. I don't have Designer Edition, so I can't just import it here. So I'm going to do a little screenshot. On my Mac, I do Shift Command 4. I'm not sure what it is on Windows, but I'm just going to pull the area of the image. Now it saved it onto my desktop. So I'm going to go back to Silhouette Studio. I'm going to do a new area. I'm going to click on Merge, and then I'm going to find that screenshot that I just took. So now it's a screenshot of what I want. So I'm going to come over to here, and I'm going to go to Trace, select Trace Area, and I'm going to trace around those fonts. Now, it looks like a pretty good fill. You can mess with the different things and get more or less. I'm going to go back to what it was to start with because it looks like it filled it plenty. And I'm going to just click trace so I get the whole trace. I'm going to pull my image off, and now I have the cut lines for this design. So it's not the easiest way to do it, but until Becky gets back to me, I didn't want to postpone this tutorial for you. So as soon as she lets me know what's happening with that studio format, I will update it here or in the comments or let you know any way that I can. So now that it's like that, I'm going to go back to the tutorial so I can show you what we're doing. So we've got it all set up. It's face up on our cutting mat. We wanted the size to be 11.5 inches wide. So it looks like hers is 7.31 and 11.5. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do 11.5 wide and 7.31 tall. Okay, I need to change my design settings because as you can see, it thinks it's too big. So I'm going to go to 12 by 12. There we go. And I'm going to pull this onto my screen. So now you can see that fits right into where we're going to be cutting. So I'm going to go back to the tutorial. Now, as you can see, we've got it set up just like her. She just has it in the middle of hers rather than at the top. Either way is fine. So since the shiny side is up, shiny side, whew, that's hard to say, we're going to need to mirror our design. So I'm going to come back to my studio, click on this, flip horizontally, and we just mirrored it. That way when we're ready to paint, it'll be ready to go. So now that we have it set up, we're ready to go ahead and cut. I'm not ready to send it yet because it's not loaded into my machine, but I wanted to show you everything on here that I could. So you're going to go to the vellum, I don't know how you say that, cut settings, and that is what worked perfectly for her. So 1, 6, I don't have the new settings, so mine doesn't say force, but let's see what mine does say. So we're going to go to send, make sure those are all highlighted, so that's good. And then I'm going to go down to the vellum, however you say that. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. 1, 6, and 19. Okay, so that looks pretty accurate to what she had. It says it's not connected because I'm not plugged in. So I'm going to switch back to a normal video. I'm going to show you how we have it loaded in. I'm going to do a test cut on the freezer paper. Okay, so now you can see I've plugged in my machine. So it says it's ready right here. I've got my cut mat loaded in. Again, you want to do the shiny side up on your mat. I changed my blade to 1. I have the premium blade. I only got it because I was doing a big custom order for Etsy and I wanted a better blade, but if you have the normal blade, that's totally fine. Just change it to 1. If you haven't found this hack, it doesn't work for the premium, but put your blade in here and you'll be able to turn it to what you need. This one I just twisted on its own. But it should be at blade 1. Then I'm going to come back here. There's room at the top of my design, so I'm going to do just a normal test cut. Alright, so now I'm going to unload it. And then we are going to test how this test cut did. So I'm going to peel up the corner of this paper. And, alright, it looks like for the most part it got it. So, I'm going to be brave, you guys. We're going to just do it. And we're going to see what happens. If I regret this, at least it'll be an honest tutorial and you can see what happens if it doesn't work out. I'm going to load it back in. Okay, so now it's loaded back in. It's mirrored. Don't forget to mirror it. And it is ready to be sent. So I'm just going to double check her settings. Make sure she didn't have anything else on. It looks like we are good to go. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to click send. And wish me luck. I will show you what happens after. So now we have it cut out on my mat. It is cut on there. So grab your handy dandy tweezers. She also suggests having a craft knife with you just in case. So if you have any snags or anything like that. So I'm going to grab mine because I forgot to grab it. So give me 1 second. Okay, I got my craft knife. So make sure you have these 2 things with you. And then with it still on your mat, because it kind of snags and it's kind of hard to weed or pull out the design that you want, go ahead and weed it out so it is stuck there. So I'm going to go ahead and start to weed this. I'm going to try to let you see it. There we go. I don't know if you'll appreciate this, but that way at least you can kind of see what I'm doing. Excuse my mess behind me in this room. So some of these designs are really little. I'm going to try to pull. You guys, I'm like kind of nervous to do this. Okay. Let's see. So you're pulling out your negative. So you're pulling out what you want to be painting. So do you see how I'm pulling out this really thin? And it is starting to want to tear. So go very slowly. Be very careful. I'm going to play with my tweezer. Oh, you guys. I'd maybe play with your cut settings a little bit different. Or do like a double cut. It could also just be freezer paper. I've never worked with freezer paper, but I've heard horror stories. Okay, that's a lie. I haven't heard horror stories, but I haven't heard very many good stories. So, basically the same thing, right? So, it's going to take me a while to do this. So, I'm going to go ahead and weed this out and then get back to you. If I come up with anything else or any tips or anything like that, I'll tell you in the next clip, but it's going to take me a little while to weed this out. So, see you in a bit. So I have it all weeded or reverse weeded. It took me a while, probably 30 minutes to get this all the way out. And there's still some pieces in it, but I called it good. So just be very careful. I did have a couple sections that were about to rip, so be very gentle. If you have tweezers, use them. If you only have hooks, those will work. Just hook around the edges of the letters and then peel it from there. That way you're kind of not worrying about it ripping. So now you'll want to take it over to your burlap and wherever your iron or your heat press is, still on this. What I'm going to do, sorry, I'm looking for my Teflon sheet. There's a little bit of a crease in my burlap, so I'm just going to iron it really quick to kind of get that crease out. You don't have to use Teflon, but I like to. Okay, so now I'm going to do it just a little bit more. I'm just ironing this crease out, or trying to. I'm also using, I do most of my projects on my windowsill. Normally because I have natural light. I've been trying to get these tutorials out to you quick though, so I've been doing it in the evening. But I'm using my Quiltmate. It's really big so you can't see it in the whole video. This is what I use to iron on, so if you don't have a heat press, I highly suggest the Quiltmate. It stays in place. It has heat reflective material. The bottom is 100% silicone, like what you put on your silicone like baking mats. And it has worked great for me, so you can find it on Amazon. It's called the Quiltmate. Anyway, so now that we have this, we're going to very gently, I am sorry, I'm all over the place in this section. I'm in a small working spot, but I want to show you the way to do this. So you're going to take it, and I'm going to try to get you to see the video. There we go. Okay, so we're going to lay it down how we want it. So my matte side is up, the paper side is down. I'm going to get it as close to centered as I can, just by first glance. And then be very, very gentle. We're going to peel up the mat. Now this is not sticky, so it's not going to stay in place, so you just have to be very, very gentle. The other thing she said is that don't worry about your inside pieces right now. So do you see how like that heart is sticking? We can place those later. Let them stick to your mat for now, and just very very gently. Alright, that one does not like me right now. Oh man, I just put my mat back down and it stuck back to the rest of it. So be gentle, work however you feel like is best. I'm struggling with some of these top pieces. I wish I had my tweezers at this video right now. So things to keep in mind, have all your tools before you start this process. I'm going to try to figure out the best way to get this through. So I'm just peeling this off right now and trying to get it the best I can with the most I can. I'm sticking to heat transfer vinyl from now on, if anybody asks. I'm just teasing. There's a lot of good to this. It just takes a lot of patience. So give yourself plenty of time to switch this over. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off just because I'll probably ramble and sound silly. So I'll be back as soon as this is completely off my mat. Okay, so now you can see I've got it all off my mat. But, I mean, look at my mat. I still have all those inside pieces. So I'm going to get to those in just a little bit. And I ripped one, but we're going to try to fix it. So what you're going to do now is even it out the best you can. It peeled up a little bit. My mat is really sticky. So if you have a mat that's not as sticky, but it'll still stick for the most part, that'd probably be the best for this project. And I'm going to center it the best I can. I'm also going to try to figure out where this piece was that I ripped. Oh, here we go. It was with the A. There we go. Okay, so I'm just placing that down. And then what I'm going to do, I think you can iron. I'm going to switch this back up to me. Sorry. You guys, I'm still working on my video skills. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to iron it right on to this burlap. So now that we're ready to do that, let me show you. I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to start. My computer's in the way. You guys, I am all over the place tonight, so be patient with me. I'm doing the best I can. So I've got my iron, I've got my burlap and everything set. I've got it as centered as I think I can, and I'm going to start at one corner. I'm just going to iron it down. She said you shouldn't have to work for it, so I'm just really simple swoops. Let me see if I can change it back so you can see exactly what I'm doing. That might help better. Alright, so here we go. I've already got this side down, so I'm just going from the top and just little swoops. That way I'm not ripping anything, and I will go over it again. But this is just my tactic. There's some little pieces here, so, oh, you gotta get that piece good. Okay. So now I've got all of it at least right on there now. And now we're gonna play with all the little pieces. So they should line up pretty good. So what I'm going to do is just go one by one. It's going to take me forever. So I'm just peeling them off. And she says to go one by one as you iron them too. So I'm going to go one by one. Once it's all ready, I'll show you, and then we'll be ready to paint. Guys, I made it. Look. So it's ironed on. The freezer paper is ironed on. You still got to be careful. The little pieces were a little hard, but I mean, other than time consuming, you just have to be very gentle. Oh, and I just discovered that I ironed the U wrong. So I'm going to have to be really careful with that when I do the paint there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See how this is coming up? It's because I ironed a piece on top of it. So watch that when you're doing yours. I'm putting paper towel underneath my burlap because now we are ready to paint. So she gave us the white. I'm just going to use that. And you don't need very much. I like the distressed look like she talks about in her tutorial. Oh, my paint just exploded. Alright, so be careful when you're opening it. I just got it on my finger, but I'm just going to dab it into the burlap. Because I have a paper towel. Where do I put on that? So she also gives you the foam brush, so I'm going to just clean up the cap and everything. And then, let me show you the design. So, we're just going to lightly dab. You don't want to brush because you don't want it to bleed. So I've got a little bit of paint right here. And I'm just going to lightly dab in my design. I don't know how well I did it, so I guess you and I will be in this together to see if it bleeds or not. But I'm just going really, really light. Kind of just dabbing everywhere, so I'm not pulling up the stencil, hopefully. Again, we will find out. I got to be really careful around this U, so I'm actually going to just sit down a spot right there. Try to even paint down the freezer paper. Okay, I need some more paint. So then, you're just going to dab all of this paint on. So basically, you're just creating a different look. I mean, you could cut this out with HTV. HTV works fine with burlap. It just, sometimes you gotta be careful about the kind you buy or how much, make sure you have the settings right for burlap. But it gives you a different look with the paint. So it's kind of a fun idea to switch up every once in a while. I haven't used this before. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know how often I will use this in the future, just because of all of the work that goes into it. I mean, it's not a quick 10-minute project and go, and I don't even know if it's going to work as well as I want it to, so that will be the kicker. The other thing with this to keep in mind is it's cheaper. It is a lot cheaper, depending on what you're doing, than HTV. Is it weird for you that you can't see my face? Should we do that? As I'm just talking to you while I'm doing this, so I don't have to do another clip, and so you can kind of see real time for this one. I know I stop it on the other pieces, but what was I saying? Oh, it's cheaper to do this. Freezer paper is not very expensive. I mean, this acrylic paint you can find at Walmart for 50 cents, so it's not too bad there. And then whatever you're putting it on. So, I mean, I am working on an advent calendar over the holidays. One of the wood ones with some burlap bags, and so this may be a good option for instead of doing HTV on all those bags, doing, oh, I just pulled up a bubble. Ah. So that's something to keep in mind too with these different projects. But she likes to show us a lot of different methods so that you're learning to use your Cameo in a lot of different ways and applications. So you don't feel like you have to just use vinyl, or you don't feel like you have to do one, you can do whatever's best for you. So I finished Thankful. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest. And then once you finish, I'm getting paint all over myself. Once you finish dabbing the paint on, then you need to let it fully dry before you try to peel everything off. That will just make sure that everything is set. You don't have any bleeding while you're picking up. All of those little details. So let it dry. And then once it's dry, I will show you what you do in the finished product. You're just going to use your tweezers or whatever you have to peel it off. And we will show you exactly what that looks like. So, we've been talking through some ideas. I've been rambling a little bit, but I am almost done with this design. So I'm just going to let it dry, and then I will show you how to peel it off. So it is pretty well dry. Oh, let me get in the video. So it's pretty well dry. I've got my tweezers ready to peel off all the little pieces. And now we are just going to peel off very carefully this freezer paper. Don't worry about using it again. I wouldn't say that it would be reusable. So if that's a question you have, it's not a silly question, but I would say the answer to that is no. So it's coming off pretty nicely. Of course, it is leaving all those little pieces, so I will just have to go back through and pick those off. But I am just, look at this, I'm just peeling it off. Another perk of the paint being dry, because otherwise, if it does fall back down, and since you're not saving it, it can rip. That's okay. You just, if it's not dry, you just want to be careful about where the paint is going. But look at that. There we go. I'm going to leave this on the table because, well, that should be good. I'm going to put it in my trash can while I'm thinking of it so I don't get paint everywhere. Got a little bit of paint on me, so it's still a little wet, but okay, so now you can see all the pieces that are still in there. So I'm just going to take the tweezers, and we're just going to lightly pick off all those little pieces. And this shouldn't take me too long, so then you can see the finished product. There are some sections I can see I did not get enough. There are a couple of sections where it bled. But overall, for the first time doing this, I'm pleased with the results. It is very cute. It does add a different type of look to your projects. I'm definitely glad we did it. But again, it'll come down to personal preference on if you want to do this again or what you like to do. But I'm getting close. I gotta stop talking so much. Hopefully you guys don't mind. I just like to be real. This is who I am. And I love this box. Alright, we're on the last few. Let me just pick these off really quick so you can see. I love this for Thanksgiving. I think this is probably going to be, we're not having Thanksgiving at my house, but I think this is going to be the centerpiece placemat at my house. So I have a little, my husband, we have an Etsy shop and he 3D prints stuff. And I think I'm going to put the turkey candy bowl that he 3D printed in the middle with it. Come on. And kind of decorate that up. I also liked her sneak peek picture, Becky's, with every project she has in it, and that looked really good. Alright, I'm just catching the last few. See if I missed any more. Okay, you guys. Oh, it did bleed through the back. So definitely put paper towel down, because this is what the back looks like. But look what the front looks like. I'm sorry I have a glare, but that looks so good. I'm very pleased with how this project turned out. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Burlap, freezer paper, paint, paintbrush, pretty simple supplies. And then, of course, our Cameo machine. So, this is the second tutorial I've done for the November box. We should have more coming soon. Let me know if you have any questions. This craft box is seriously the thing that's helped me the most with my Cameo. So, I do the affiliate program. I get a very little commission off of it if you sign up. But, I'm doing it because I love it. I'm not making the big money off of this or anything like that. I just really love it. and what it teaches me and teaches everybody else that gets it. So let me know if you want any other videos up on my channel. I'm happy to do other tutorials, so just let me know. But otherwise, get to work on this November box and sign up if you haven't for the December box. Thanks.